Now we are going to create your trend chart. Clear identification of who your organization is and what you're graphing is helpful not only for you, but those that you will present measurement data to at various levels of your organization. First, we will fill in the information in rows 2, 3, and 4. Row 2 is your organization's information. In this example, our organization is named Test Clinic. Our SMART aim in this project is, by December 2016, increase the percentage of patients who have blood pressure documented from 60% to 90%. In row 4, the measure is percentage of patients who have blood pressure documented. Once you have typed out information in rows 2, 3, and 4, you will move on to the table starting on row 6 to enter your data. First, the table itself has a couple of columns. The first column is time column. In this project, the time period is month, but for your project, depending on how frequently you collect data, you can make this any other time period, such as day, quarter, year, or anything else. The next column is column B, which is the denominator. The denominator represents the total population that you are evaluating. In this example, the denominator is the total population in your primary care clinic. The next column is the column C, numerator. Numerator represents the population from the denominator that's meeting the criteria that you set out in your measure. So in this example, the numerator is population in primary care clinic who has blood pressure documented. The next column is measure percentage column. To get information in that column, you divide numerator by denominator. In this template, the formula has already been built in for you. So as you enter data, and you will see later, the measure information will automatically calculate. The last column in the table is the goal percentage column. This information comes from your SMART aim. You will enter your goal information across all of the rows in your table, as highlighted. Next up, you will notice that rows 7 through 10 have been highlighted in gray. The highlighted rows represent baseline data. The rest of the cells that are in white color represent the ongoing data collection. So now we will enter some data in our gray cells. This example has 4 months worth of baseline data that have now been entered. And again, as you can see, as denominator and numerator data were entered into this template, the measure information calculated automatically. The last row of this table, row 23, represents the totals of denominators and numerators. This information represents the average of all your data across all your months and where your clinic is at a particular point. Now, if we toggle over to the chart, you will notice there are a couple of things to be labeled in the chart. First, there is the title. The title label will come directly from your Smart Aim. So what you will do is you will double click on your Smart Aim cell, highlight it, and then copy and paste that information into the title text box. Next up is the vertical and horizontal axis of your chart. Those axes have already been pre-labeled. The vertical axis has been labeled as percentage measure, and the horizontal axis has been labeled as the time. Next up, there are two lines on the graph. The blue line represents the monthly data, baseline and ongoing data, and then red line represents the goal. You will notice that as data were being entered in the table itself, the blue line automatically populated on the chart. Again, that has to do with the formula having been pre-built in the table itself and in the chart. So as you type in your data, they're automatically populating in the chart. Next up, what we want to do is, in addition to having the key on the right side of the chart, we also want to label the goal line, the red line on the chart itself. To do that, you will need to create a text box. To create a text box, you will click on any cell outside of your trend chart, then go to Insert, click on Text Box, and then draw a text box above your red line and type in your goal. Goal equals 90%. Another thing to remember about this chart too is the data labels. The data labels are the numbers that are showing on the blue line. That helps you identify your measure numbers from month to month. Versus having to refer to table each time, you can see the data directly on the chart itself. You will need to move out data labels a bit to make them more legible, but in most cases, they will automatically adjust. So this was the overview on how to create the trend chart itself.